Hello, welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining me. So we've got a bit of an ad hoc one here really, another eBay experience. Now I buy a lot of my stuff on eBay primarily because where I live in rural England it's very hard. There aren't much in the way of like car boot sales. Charity shops tend to be full of old clothes and stuff like that, and there's certain sort of regulations with regard to pat testing and what have you. So people just generally don't sell second-hand items, and Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that is absolutely sort of rubbish. Gumtree's got nothing on it. And what's happened over recent months, or certainly recent years, is that some of the bigger charity shops have warehouses now, so they can sniff out anything that's sort of remotely interesting, boom boxes, vintage games, stuff like that. So they just go for premium rates on eBay anyway. So even the charity shops now are there. We don't have like loads of thrift stores all over the places, often in America, where you can just walk in and pick up bargains. It's great fun, and it's quite for me. If ever I'm over in the States, it's lovely to walk through some of those shops and think, crikey, I could fill my suitcase with some cool stuff here. But obviously, you don't have the room and the weight capacity for that. But anyway, back to England. Here we are. So I bought this Astro Wars, and to be honest with you, I've got it as it was something to flip, really, I suppose, as much as anything else. I love these. I must have fixed probably about 100 of these over the last sort of year or so, and I bought this one because it needed some TLC. It's had its problems, but it was kind of working all right. Needed a deep clean and a polish. It's missing its battery cover. It's a bit scuffed and a bit scratched. It's got a box with it, but it's pretty tatty and in need of some love and what have you. So I thought, do you know what, I might actually take this one on. Won't really make any money on it per se. By the time I've paid the postage for this thing to get to me, plus then spent time sort of diagnosing and fixing any issues with it, stripping it down, checking everything over, servicing it, polishing it all up, tidying up the box, and then I've got eBay fees when I sell it, not to mention my time in photographing it and getting it looking nice and dealing with inquiries and getting the whole thing packaged up and sorting out the address and delivery and waiting for the collection guy to come and take it away. And you know what I mean, there's no money in this at all, but I thought it might be nice just to sort of take it on and clean it up. Anyways, the reason I bought this one, or one of the reasons, is it also came, it said, with power adapter, and it was fully working. And I thought, you know what, it's worth saving. Let's give it a decent clean. Let's get the battery cover for it, give it a deep clean and a polish, check it over, and pass it on to somebody new. So anyway, it arrived, and before that, I'd said to them, knowing that it had the power supply with it, I said, could you please make sure that you post it separately, because in my experience, and I have had several where they've been boxed with the adapter and the adapter's gone straight through the screen and smashed it. I said, can you please box it separately? Which, to be fair, they kind of did. But the only problem with that is, instead of putting it side by side in the box with the actual game, or on the bottom of the box and then put the game box over the top of it, what they did is they basically put this thing, and listen, it is a beast. It's an absolute beast, old school coil transformer, and they put it on top of the box, so it actually got even more squashed and distorted and bent and buckled than it already was. So I was like, you are kidding me. I opened it and that was my first words, you are kidding me, right? Just people don't think. But anyway, that aside, I then opened it up and it was dirty. It was much dirtier. I mean, it hasn't even, it's genuinely, I mean, if I just try and zoom in a little bit, it hasn't even seen, well, I don't know if I will see any of this under the screen, but it hasn't even seen a wipe or a cloth or anything. It's pretty grim all over, quite frankly. And I've got to say, the more I handle this, the cleaner it gets, because the dirt's going all over my hands. So anyway, there's a reason I say that. I'll come back to that in a second. Great little monologue, this. But anyway, it was supposed to be all working, comes with a power lead and all the rest of it. So I open it up and I'm thinking, right, first thing I'm going to do is check the power supply, because 9 times out of 10, whenever I fix a lot of the grandstand games and CGL games, it's the power supply that's gone, because it's the power supply that's caused the damage. So I checked this, and sure enough, it was putting out 12 volts or just over 12 volts DC. Now these things run off 6 volts. Now they're very prone to being blown up. Basically, the power transistors and the diodes burn out if you use the incorrect polarity. But obviously, if you overvolt them as well, you'll cook the transistors, and that's no good either. So this thing's putting out literally twice or over twice the recommended voltage for the machine. And I'm thinking, well, that's not going to last 5 minutes really. If I leave that in there, that's just going to burn it up. So one of the reasons I paid a premium for this and bid against other people is because it allegedly had the power supply for this, but the power supply isn't safe for it, so I can't use it anyway, right? So there's some of the value gone. So then you go, okay, what is it? And some of you keen computer geeks and retro geeks out there will recognise this is actually a Sinclair, probably a Spectrum power pack. Now, this wasn't shown, I don't think, in the original pictures, or certainly it was quite vague, and it just showed the, you know, it sort of working, as it were. And so this is from a computer, and it's massive. And I thought, well, okay, look, don't sweat it. Sell this separately as a power pack specific for the computer. And then I found out that it's actually broken on the end anyway. So the insulator is smashed on the end, and it's kind of broken and not great. So if I wanted to sell it as a standalone unit, that's damaged anyway, and I'd have to declare that, which wasn't declared when I bought the game. So I'm thinking, okay, the box is bashed more than it should have been. The adapter is A, the wrong one, B, lucky it didn't blow it up, and C, I can't really sell it on because it's damaged anyway. And I thought, do you know what, suck it up. So I put my own adapter in, powered up the game, went to play it, and did it come on? Yes, but then the fire button was like really intermittent, and you've really got to press it down. Now, like I say, I service and I sell a lot of these, and one of the things I always do is strip it entirely out, and actually clean the carbon contacts, clean the circuit board, and refresh the spring strength and everything. And I get this literally, so you've almost like Firefox, you know, the movie Clint Eastwood, where you just got to think, and instinctively it's that responsive. You know, whereas this thing, I'm like, hang on, it only seemed to fire about every fourth time when you'd actually kind of like pressed it hard enough. I thought, well, that's rubbish. It's supposed to be fully working. But also, on this, the major and like almost the death knell really for Astro Wars is the joystick, because that's supposed to be sprung loaded, and it barely works. You can see how dead it is, and it's supposed to be like because that's what's moved the ship back and forth, and that a dead joystick, I mean, that feels really lame, and sometimes it even sticks in position. It's just had it, and you can't repair them. It's a tiny bit of plastic inside the spring itself, with a little tiniest spring and a microscopic little stainless steel ball bearing in there, so you can't repair them. You can't buy them new. The only way you can get one is to use like an aftermarket CGL or a compatible grandstand game that might have one of these, or another Astro Wars, which defeats the object of buying one, of course, if you've got to buy another one just to fix it. So I'm like, hang on, this was supposed to have been fully working, and the box has ended up more damaged than it should have been. The power supply is no good to me. I can't even sell it, you know, as it is. And now I've got to play the game, which is still filthy, still needs a strip and a clean and a polish, still needs a battery cover, fire button doesn't work, and the actual joystick's broken as well. So I thought, do you know what, I've had enough of this, I'm just going to send it back. So I then I messaged the guy, and I said to him, well, look, I'll tell you what I'll do. You knock 20 quid off, because if I send it back, you're going to have to pay the postage to get it back anyway. I said, just knock 20 quid off. I'll forget I ever had the adapter because it's the wrong one. You know, I'll put it towards buying a donor unit. Not that you can even buy a donor Astro Wars for anywhere near 20 quid, even with, you know, even a completely destroyed one. So I said, look, it's a token gesture of goodwill. Give me the 20 quid, which is basically 15 quid more than it's just going to cost you to have it returned anyway. And we'll just forget about it, and I'll just use it for spares myself, or, you know, use a donor one at some point to repair this one and sort it all out. Anyway, he just ignored me. So instead, I raised a formal return via eBay, and they said, the seller then just replied and said, oh, that's not mine. And I'm like, excuse me? Now, I'm a professional repairer and restorer of these old games and what have you, and boomboxes and stuff, and I thought, no, I'm not having him sort of just questioning me. You know, my feedback is absolutely second to none. and you know, I'm a very trusted seller, very trusted buyer, and I'm not having him accusing me of, you know. And I said to him, look, it's your unit, and he said, that's filthy. That's filthy. Mine was really clean. And I'm like, mate, goes to show how much you either knew what you had or the care you took in presenting it, because you've sent it out like that. And as soon as I show you a photo of it, which you have to do when you return something on eBay, as soon as I send you a photo of it, I said, well, you know, all of a sudden you don't even recognise your own unit because it's that disgusting, but yet it was good enough for you to send out. You charged full dollar for it on, you know, on eBay, but as you can't even be bothered to wipe it, and as soon as someone wants to return it, you're going, that's filthy, I would never have sent it out like that. Yeah, right, okay. So anyway, it became some proper argy-bargy. He was very, very passive aggressive, and was sort of saying, you know, that's not mine, and you will have to send mine back, and I said, look, I'm going to return it, and you know, for the refund. He's like, I'm only going to return you if it's the same one. And I said, it is the same one. He said, that's not mine. And I showed him pictures. I took more photos with the box and the, you know, and I said, look, mate, I said, it's yours. I said, if nothing else, the paintwork on the actual control panel wears like a fingerprint. Every single one, every single Astro Wars wears differently on the arrow paint and the text paint and everything. I said, this is your unit. And as I'm touching this now, my hands just feel gross. It's so dirty. And he wouldn't have it. And he said, well, send it back, and if the numbers match, then I'll refund you. And I said, look, with respect, and I said to him, I said, I'm not trying to be rude. I said, there's only one place to find a serial number on an Astro Wars. I said, and if you'd have got to that, which incidentally is on the main PCB inside, I said, if you'd have got to that to open it up to get a serial number, you'd have at least been bothered to give the thing a wipe and service the controls while you're in there, and realise the fact that the joystick was broken. And then at which point, because I'd called his bluff, he just said, oh, well, we'll just send it back, and if it's the same, if it's my unit, you can have your money back. And I'm like, no, I'm not having that. This guy basically didn't disclose the fact that it had damage to the unit. He didn't package it very well. It's the incorrect power supply. The power supply itself has got damage, and he didn't disclose any of that. And then when I just say, look, okay, fair enough, I'm not going to create a massive stink, I just want my money back, I'll return it at my cost, because of course I've now got to spend time, I've got to repack the whole thing, I've got to raise a return for it, I've got to, you know, get it all wrapped up and wait for the postal collection, because like I say, I'm in a rural part of the country and I have to have my parcels collected, so I can't be editing videos or fixing stuff up in the workshop, because I've got to be listening out for the postman to come and collect this. So all these different things is just aggro, you know. And so I was really fed up that he's kind of taking this attitude. So in the end, I've just gone to eBay and explained this to them. They've read all of our transcripts and correspondence and said, yeah, just send it back, and if he hasn't refunded you within 2 days, you'll be refunded through eBay through the money back guarantee. So I thought I'd just film this. I know it's a massive monologue and it's a bit slightly odd video for the channel, but sometimes it's nice just to let off a little bit of steam, be a bit candid about things, and talk about the broader issues when we're working with vintage electronics. And so this is kind of I guess this may or may not ever come back. What I might do is put a follow-up clip shortly after this with some sort of return update as to see whether or not it got resolved, and whether he decided to get funny about it or claim that this is not his unit and what have you. So we'll figure all of that out in due course. But I just wanted to sort of share that story so far in case I ever do put this video out, and we'll go from there. I'm sure I've forgotten a few bits and pieces, but like I say, you know, it's some of this stuff we do, you know, for a living, but sometimes you sort of take something on as a bit of fun or something to, you know, to crack on with and get another one restored for future generations to enjoy, and people try and hoodwink you. Now, I don't mind if people genuinely do like house clearances and stuff like that, and they find things that aren't, how can we put it, it might not be their area of expertise. You know, this could be an Astro Wars today, tomorrow it could be a toaster, and then, you know, then it could be a bar mirror the next day or something. If it's not your area of expertise, I get that. Mistakes happen, misunderstandings happen. But when you send something out that's broken and filthy, and, you know, charging top dollar for it and then refusing to accept it back because you're claiming it's not yours, that's not on. So anyway, fun and games. But I've got I've got loads of stuff. As I'm talking to you here, I got a whole bunch of stuff that's awaiting repair and editing and stuff. So I'll be back with something slightly more upbeat in future. But thank you ever so much for bearing with me with this monologue. Sometimes it's nice just to have a little bit of a rip, tear and bust on things. So I'll let you know what's what with this, with the outcome, which may become nothing at all. It may just be a fact that I've packaged it up and got a refund, or it may be that he's got sarky about something or other and claimed that I've sabotaged it in some way or something. So I wanted to kind of make this video anyway, just to kind of advise you guys and to warn you guys, and also just to cover my own backside really at this juncture with regard to where we're at. Because I did a video once about, I think, not being, well, I've been scammed on eBay by buyers before now, and that's separate stories. And a couple of comments had come back over those videos basically saying, yeah, sometimes as well you can get unscrupulous sellers. And whilst I am definitely not one of those, I am here obviously talking about one that is, from a buyer's, being the buyer myself here in this instance. So anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. You guys look after yourselves. Have a happy rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. All the best for now. Bye-bye.
3 days later.
Okay guys, so it's a few days later now, and I'm delighted to report that, as you can see, it's totally gone now. It's been sent back. We'll have something to fill the frame. How about a little friend of squirrel there? And yeah, he's not contested it at all. In fact, they've had no correspondence from the seller whatsoever. He's probably not very impressed about the fact that he was wrong all along while he was throwing all his accusations behind his keyboard at me. So in any event, all's well that ends well. So whether or not he'll try and re-advertise that, re-describe it or something, I don't know. But as you can see, we're all happy here now. All is well that ends well. So thank you very much indeed for watching. Please check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you soon. Stay safe. All the best for now. Bye-bye. What do you reckon, mate? Do you reckon he'll fix it? Nah, me neither.